Remember that time you fought with your sibling over the last cookie? It was a small, seemingly insignificant thing, but it felt like the end of the world at that moment. You both wanted it so badly, and neither of you was willing to back down. The tension, the arguments, the back and forth, it's a scenario that plays out in households everywhere. But what if I told you that this same kind of conflict is happening on a much larger scale, with much higher stakes? This is like that, but with countries and billions of dollars. Imagine the cookie is now a massive chunk of the global economy, and the siblings are powerful nations. The stakes are incredibly high, and the consequences of these disputes can ripple across the world, affecting millions of lives. The US just slapped a whopping 245% tariff on some Chinese goods. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a significant economic maneuver. Tariffs are essentially taxes on imports, and a 245% increase is enormous. It's designed to make Chinese products much more expensive for American consumers and businesses. Basically, they're making those products way more expensive for anyone in America who wants to buy them. Imagine going to the store and seeing the price of your favorite gadget or piece of clothing suddenly skyrocket. That's the kind of impact these tariffs can have on everyday people. It's a big deal, folks. This isn't just a headline, it's a major economic event that can affect everything from the stock market to the price of goods on store shelves. People are paying attention because the ramifications are far-reaching. This is how trade wars start. One country makes a move and the other retaliates. It's a tit-for-tat escalation that can quickly spiral out of control. Each side tries to outdo the other, and the stakes keep getting higher. One side throws a punch, the other punches back, and before you know it, the global economy is in a headlock. It's a brutal, no-holds-barred fight where there are no real winners, only varying degrees of losers. These tariffs are a big part of President Trump's plan to pressure China. He believes that by making Chinese goods more expensive, he can force China to change its trade practices. It's a high-stakes gamble, and the outcome is far from certain. He wants them to play fair on trade, or so he says. The idea is to level the playing field, to make sure that American businesses aren't at a disadvantage when competing with Chinese companies, but the question is, will it work? He argues China steals American ideas and jobs. This isn't just about tariffs, it's about intellectual property, manufacturing, and the very future of industries. The accusation is that China engages in unfair practices that harm American businesses and workers. But critics say these tariffs are like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Instead of solving the problem, they argue, the tariffs could make things worse. Higher prices for consumers, disrupted supply chains, and strained international relations are just a few of the potential downsides. They might hurt China a little, but they'll also burn American consumers and businesses. The cost of goods could rise, making it harder for people to afford everyday items. Businesses might struggle with higher costs and reduced competitiveness. This isn't the first volley in this trade war, and it probably won't be the last. The US and China have been going back and forth with tariffs for years, each new round escalating the conflict. It's a complex and ongoing battle with no clear end in sight. Both sides have been going back and forth with tariffs for a while now. Each new tariff is met with a counter-tariff, creating a cycle of retaliation that seems never-ending. It's a high-stakes game of economic brinkmanship. Each round makes things more unpredictable for everyone. Investors, businesses, and consumers are all left wondering what will happen next. The uncertainty can be just as damaging as the tariffs themselves, creating a climate of fear and hesitation. It's like watching a tennis match where the players are using hand grenades instead of tennis balls. The stakes are incredibly high, and the consequences of each move are explosive. It's a dangerous game, and the fallout can be devastating for everyone involved. So, what does this mean for you, the average American? Well, let's break it down. Buckle up because things are about to get more expensive. The impact of these price hikes will be felt across various aspects of your daily life. Remember that cheap Chinese-made flat-screen TV you were eyeing? It was a great deal, right? Yeah, that's probably going to cost a lot more now. The tariffs are driving up the prices of electronics significantly. Same goes for clothes, toys, electronics, you name it. Everyday items that you might not even think about are going to see price increases. These tariffs are like an extra tax on anything imported from China. And China is a major supplier of many goods we use daily. And guess who ends up paying that tax? That's right, it's you, the consumer, who will feel the pinch at the checkout. You guessed it, American shoppers and businesses. Small businesses in particular are going to struggle with these increased costs. Businesses will either have to eat the extra cost, which hurts their profits, or pass it on to you, the consumer, in the form of higher prices. This creates a ripple effect throughout the economy. Now, the Trump administration argues this is all for the greater good. They believe that these measures will ultimately benefit the American economy. They say these tariffs will protect American jobs and force China to change its ways. The idea is to bring manufacturing back to the US and reduce dependency on foreign goods. But critics argue it's like trying to perform open-heart surgery with a rusty spoon. They believe the approach is too blunt and could have unintended consequences. It's messy, risky, and might just make things worse. The complexity of global trade means that such measures can have far-reaching and unpredictable effects. For the average American family, this means tighter budgets and more difficult financial decisions. Every dollar will need to be stretched further. Small businesses may have to cut costs in other areas, potentially leading to layoffs or reduced hours for employees. The economic strain could be significant. In the end, the goal is to strengthen the American economy, but the path to get there is fraught with challenges. Only time will tell if these measures will achieve their intended outcomes. So, as you navigate the aisles of your local store, keep in mind the broader economic forces at play. The prices you see are more than just numbers. They reflect a complex web of global trade and policy decisions. And as you hand over your hard-earned money, remember that these changes are part of a larger story, one that affects us all in different ways. Higher prices at the checkout are just one chapter in this ongoing narrative. Stay informed, stay prepared, and navigate these changes with awareness and resilience. China isn't just going to sit there and take it, they're throwing some punches of their own. In retaliation for the US tariffs, China has slapped tariffs on American goods like soybeans, cars, and even lobsters. This hurts American farmers and businesses who rely on selling their products to China. Remember those soybeans? China was a huge buyer. Now American farmers are scrambling to find new markets for their crops. It's a big mess. Both sides are digging in their heels and neither seems willing to back down. It's a classic game of chicken, but with the global economy at stake. And nobody wants to be the first to blink. This trade war isn't just a squabble between two countries. It's a complex and multifaceted conflict that has far-reaching implications for the entire world. It's sending shockwaves through the entire global economy, affecting everything from stock markets to everyday businesses. Investors are on edge, and financial markets are more volatile than ever. The International Monetary Fund, which is like the economic doctor of the world, is pretty worried. They monitor the health of the global economy and provide advice and financial assistance to countries in need. They're warning that these tariffs could slow down global economic growth. The IMF's latest reports suggest that the ongoing trade tensions could shave off significant points from global GDP growth. See, when two of the world's biggest economies start throwing punches, everyone gets caught in the crossfire. The US and China are not just any countries, they are economic powerhouses whose actions ripple across the globe. Businesses around the world are getting nervous. From small startups to large multinational corporations, the uncertainty is causing a lot of anxiety. They're not sure what to expect, so they're holding back on investments and expansion. This cautious approach is leading to slower economic activity and could potentially result in job losses. The IMF is urging the US and China to work this out like adults. They are calling for dialogue and negotiation to resolve these issues amicably. They're saying, hey guys, maybe put down the tariffs and talk this through. Open communication and compromise are essential to finding a solution that benefits everyone. Nobody wins in a trade war. But will anyone listen? The stakes are high, and the world is watching closely to see if cooler heads will prevail and bring an end to this economic turmoil. Imagine trying to run a business when you have no idea what the rules of the game are going to be next week, let alone next year. That's the reality for businesses caught in the middle of this trade war. American companies that rely on Chinese suppliers are facing higher costs for parts and materials, and Chinese companies that sell to the US are seeing their sales plummet. It's a lose-lose situation. This uncertainty is causing businesses to put off investments, delay hiring, and even lay off workers. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation of jelly. Nobody knows what the future holds, and that's bad news for everyone. Faced with all this uncertainty, some companies are taking matters into their own hands. They're packing up their factories and moving them out of China to countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico. It's a costly and complicated process, like trying to move a whole anthill without disturbing the ants. But for some companies, it's the only way to avoid the tariffs and ensure a stable supply chain. This shift in manufacturing could have big implications for the global economy. It could benefit the countries where these factories are moving, but it could also hurt China's economy in the long run. Okay, so the trade war is bad, everyone's nervous, and the global economy is on edge. So, what's the solution? Well, the obvious answer is to talk it out. Business leaders, economists, and even some politicians are urging the US and China to come to the negotiating table and work out a deal. They argue that a trade war is like shooting yourself in the foot to cure a headache. It might feel good for a second, but it's ultimately counterproductive. The problem is, both sides are so dug in, it's like trying to get two stubborn mules to pull a cart in the same direction. But hey, stranger things have happened, right? So what does the future hold for this trade war? Honestly, your guess is as good as ours. It's like trying to predict the weather in a tornado. Will the US and China come to their senses and work out a deal? Or will they continue to escalate the conflict, dragging the global economy down with them? Only time will tell. One thing's for sure, this trade war is having real consequences for real people. Businesses are struggling, jobs are being lost, and consumers are paying higher prices. It's a mess, and it's unclear when or how it's going to end. This trade war isn't just about tariffs and economics, it's about the future of the global order. For decades, the US and China have been the engines of global economic growth, but now their relationship is strained, and the world is watching nervously. This is a critical moment. The decisions made by the US and China in the coming months and years will have far-reaching consequences. Will they choose cooperation or conflict? Will they build bridges or walls? The world is holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next.